Right, if you're like me and you're bemoaning that you didn't buy a house when the mortgage rate was like 2.8%, I got to tell you, we're going to be waiting a long, long time before there's a right time again.
Yeah, experts say it's going to take a while. So Daryl Fairweather, chief economist of Redfin, joins us now. Well, good morning to you. So we've been seeing mortgage rates drop lately. Why is it still not a good time to buy a house?
Mortgage rates have dropped slightly from a high of around 7.5% to just about like 7.3% now. So there isn't really that big of a difference. It's still quite unaffordable to get a mortgage compared to what it was like during the pandemic when rates were closer to 3%. On top of that, prices have gone up since before the pandemic, so it's quite unaffordable. But there are still people who are deciding that now is the right time to buy because they're anticipating that it's not going to get easier in the future, it's going to get harder.
A lot of people thinking, oh, I'll just refinance once the rate finally goes down. So you had mentioned that double whammy here. We have high interest rates and the actual cost, the baseline cost of the house is up as well. So what has you thinking that it'll be 2030 that'll have things looking good again?
Well, in 2030, the demographic winds will shift. Millennials are the biggest generation, and right now they are in home buying age, which is contributing to increased demand. Once millennials are situated in their homes, hopefully that does happen, then Gen Z will be the next that is at home buying age. And Gen Z is quite a small generation. Now, it's hard to say exactly what that will look like 10 years from now because shifting immigration patterns could change the size of generations. But in 2030, there just won't be as much demand from millennials.
Okay, so how did it get this bad? I mean, I'm sure the pandemic played a big role. What other factors contributed to this?
The long-run problem in the housing market is that there aren't enough homes for everybody who wants to buy one. We underbuilt during the 2010s. We built fewer homes than in any decade since the 1960s, and it's going to take us at least a decade to build out of that deficit. So that's why home prices are so high, and it doesn't really matter if mortgage rates are high or low. The affordability of that mortgage depends on both prices and mortgage rates. So even though high mortgage rates have slowed down price growth, those high mortgage rates are eating into affordability a lot right now.
Interesting, too, because the boomers, since you mentioned generations, that's going to be a large transition of wealth coming up here soon. You know what, though? What advice do you have for somebody who's like, I'm not waiting until 2030. I don't know what the future looks like. I want a home right now.
I think that you should look at your personal circumstances, and it doesn't really matter what's going on in the market. The biggest thing that will determine whether you can buy a home or whether you should buy a home is where you are in your life. So if you have a good source of income, you're ready for a bigger space, maybe you want to get married, have kids, then home ownership can complement that quite nicely. But if you aren't ready to settle down, if you think you might hop around to different jobs in different cities in the next couple of years, then renting is probably the better option for you.
Okay, and what about renovations? If they can't get the dream home that they want right now, do you recommend perhaps maybe renovating their home?
Renovating a fixer-upper can be a good strategy. In a market like this, fixer-uppers aren't getting multiple offers. They're easier to buy, they're easier to negotiate on. But the downside is that, there could be a lot of hidden costs when it comes to renovating. Costs of labor and materials have gone up since the pandemic, so those renovations might cost more now than they would have a couple of years ago. So it's important to, properly budget and plan for the renovation because you may be paying less now, but paying more down the road if those renovation costs are higher than you anticipate.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.